It's Tuesday, July 21st. In the headlines, the United States pledges support for Jamaica's long-term recovery from Hurricane Melissa. In business news, new president of the Jamaica Bankers Association elected. Regionally, UNICEF supports a climate study on Belizean children, and questions are mounting over the sinking of Guyana's MV Marima ferry. In sports, Sunshine Girls ready for Commonwealth Games Challenge in Glasgow. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. The United States has pledged long-term support for Jamaica's recovery from Hurricane Melissa, reaffirming its commitment to assist the country as reconstruction efforts continue. Speaking during a tour of the emergency field hospital at Black River High School in St. Elizabeth, United States senior official Jeremy Lewin said U.S. assistance has included a disaster response team, specialized search and rescue personnel, heavy-lift military helicopters, and support through the World Food Programme and Samaritan's Purse International Relief. Energy, Transport and Telecommunications Minister Daryl Vaz welcomed the commitment, saying rebuilding efforts will take months and continued international assistance will be vital. For his part, Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says strong international partnerships will be essential as Jamaica rebuilds communities devastated by Hurricane Melissa. Jamaica's infrastructure and road network have been transformed by a wave of Chinese-financed infrastructure projects under the Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. But while supporters point to new highways, bridges, and billions of dollars in investment as signs of progress, critics continue to question the long-term costs and who stands to benefit most. In this report, Television Caribbean examines Jamaica's growing partnership with China and the debate surrounding its impact on the country's future.
Jamaica is changing. New highways, modern bridges, billion-dollar developments, all reshaping the country's landscape. Much of this transformation has been financed by China. Supporters call it progress. Critics say the costs may outweigh the benefits. This is the story of Jamaica's relationship with China under the Belt and Road Initiative and the questions surrounding who truly benefits. The relationship between Jamaica and China stretches back more than 170 years. Chinese immigrants first arrived in 1854, eventually becoming an important part of Jamaica's economic and cultural fabric. That historic relationship evolved into a modern economic partnership when Jamaica officially joined China's Belt and Road Initiative in April 2019. Chinese companies have financed and constructed major infrastructure projects, from highways and hospitals to investments in mining and urban development. Together, they represent billions of dollars in investment intended to modernize Jamaica's economy. Veteran broadcaster Milton Walker believes these projects have fundamentally changed Jamaica's transportation network, reducing travel times, improving commerce, and opening new opportunities for development.
The Chinese have been very pivotal in a number of infrastructural projects which were badly needed in Jamaica. Road projects, bridges, they did a double flyover for 3 miles in the capital. But the projects that they've done have been completed on time and on budget. And that's always a good thing.
Different governments across the political landscape have had that relationship with them. And you can see the investments. They have invested in different aspects in our agriculture, through sugar, in our mining, in our quarrying, in our construction, in different aspects, even in our, and maybe more importantly for us now, is in our technology space.
First look at the flyover a double flyover for 3 miles. That's our busiest junction in the country. 70,000 cars traverse through that. It was a roundabout, and then it was made to a traffic signal intersection. It was the busiest intersection. It was the main intersection bringing people from the neighboring city of Portmore into the capital. And then you got traffic coming in from Spanish Town, the other part of St. Catherine. And of course, traffic from within the city. And that's helped tremendously in terms of the traffic flow. That was something that should have been built decades ago.
Industry leaders also point to technical advantages, saying Chinese companies have introduced modern construction methods and financing arrangements that have enabled Jamaica to undertake projects that might otherwise have been delayed.
From the government side, I'm not fully aware of the details, but I understand that there seems to be some form of financing or allowances for getting projects done without the same strain on the government coffers as with previous projects. But that may have been in the past. In recent times, we've seen the government directly financing projects done by Chinese firms with Jamaican tax dollars.
The Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has partnered with Jamaica's National Road Safety Council to advance efforts to reduce road traffic deaths and injuries. The program aims to strengthen road safety management, promote safer road user behavior, and improve post-crash care for road traffic crash victims.
Jamaica has long been regarded as an exotic tropical paradise. Despite its sun, sea, and sand allure, the country grapples with a sobering reality of upwards of 500 road traffic deaths in 2021.
Last year, 425 precious souls died. The year before, 485. Together, we have to put a stop to this.
The program is scheduled to last for 3 years, from 2023 to 2025. But so far, in December of 2023, the critical care assessment was completed. Going forward in 2025, the other aspect of the program, mainly to do with the police, will be implemented, where they'll be supplied with tablets, speed lasers, and breathalyzer equipment.
In this week's Living Healthy report, we give some tips to protect yourself from the effects of the summer sun. This sun can be cruel. Protect yourself and don't let the heat get the best of you. Hydrate, cover up, and find shade.
Is a different kind of heat. So if you work outdoors, you have to take a different kind of action. Just feeling ill while in the heat is a warning sign, and symptoms can range from mild to fatal. Don't risk the headache and fainting of heat stroke, the red bumps of heat rash, or the fatigue, thirst, and even muscle cramps of dehydration. Avoid prolonged sun exposure, especially at peak hours, and get into the shade if you feel affected. Wear lightweight and light-colored clothing, as well as wide-brimmed hats when you can. And always, always stay hydrated.
A message from the Pan American Health Organization.
Time now for the business report.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the development shaping market, capital access, and business decision making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Jamaica Bankers Association, JBA, has elected Mrs. Shorvell Johnson Cunningham of Sagicor Bank as its president for the 2026-2027 year. The election took place on July 16, 2026. Also elected our first Vice President, Radcliffe Daly, head of First Global Bank. Second Vice President, Jerome Smalling, head of JMMB Bank. Treasurer, Eva Lewis, head of Citibank. Additionally, the Honorary Secretary is Paul Elliott, head of VM Building Society. The JBA expresses sincere appreciation to outgoing President Mrs. Audrey Tugwell Henry of Scotiabank for her sterling service as President since October 2023. Managing Director of BPM Financial, Peter Rose Hall, is proposing that the government invest $100,000 for every child born in Jamaica last year as part of a long-term strategy to address the country's retirement savings gap. Speaking to RJR News, Mrs. Hall argued that the proposal would cost the government about $3 billion annually, a relatively small amount compared with a $1.44 trillion national budget, and the long-term social and economic costs of an aging population with inadequate retirement savings. She pointed to data from the Pensions Industry Association of Jamaica showing that only 20%, or about 283,000 of the country's 1.4 million workers, are enrolled in approved retirement schemes. Mrs. Hall said that if the government invested $100,000 for each newborn, the fund could grow to about $15 million by the time that child reaches the age of retirement at 65. For the trading period of July 20, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 9,483,954 units, representing 39.48% of market sales. Lasco Financial Services Limited with 3,003,346 units, representing 12.5% of market sales. Woodcats International Limited with 1,486,267 units, representing 6.19% of market sales. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, finance, and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for July 20, 2026, Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. US dollar had trading margins reflecting steady liquidity, the US selling at $159.48 and buying at $157.81. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by $3.21 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $114.50 and was bought for $111.29. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $5.48 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $215.42 and was bought for $209.94. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For our credit report for the day, real estate investors often focus on finding the right property, but your credit report can be just as important. A healthy credit report can improve your chances of loan approval, help you qualify for better interest rates, and increase your borrowing capacity as you grow your portfolio. On the other hand, missed payments, high debt, or inaccurate information can limit your financing options. Before making your next investment, take time to review your credit report. Strengthening your credit profile today can open the door to greater real estate opportunities tomorrow. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, questions are mounting over the sinking of Guyana's MV Barima as the government's account of the disaster continues to evolve. Authorities now admit they cannot confirm how many people were on board when the ferry capsized after discovering serious discrepancies in the passenger manifest. The captain and first engineer have also reportedly tested positive for cannabis, while the vessel's loading and dispatch team have been suspended pending a multi-agency investigation. The details in this HGP Nightly News story.
The government still cannot say with certainty how many people or how many cargo were aboard the MV Barima when it capsized over the weekend. While officials work through unreliable records, survivors have supplied a more immediate account: a sinking vessel, parents searching desperately for sleeping children, and passengers fighting their way in rough seas. By Sunday morning, government reported that 67 people had been rescued, 41 men, 11 women, and 15 children. 6 of the children were boys and 9 were girls. Public Works Minister Juan Edgel also on Sunday rejected initial claims that the MV Barima had been overloaded or had suffered engine or mechanical failure. Later on Sunday, though, the government's account changed substantially.
But to be confronted with a reality that despite an official manifest was given to us, persons who were rescued were not manifested, that is a criminal action.
The findings meant that the original total of 133 could no longer be considered reliable. Edgel described the presence of unlisted passengers as unlawful and that the development compromised the search and rescue operation.
Because we are looking for 133 persons, 116 on a manifest and 17 crew. We don't really know the real number right now.
The briefing produced another serious development when the government announced that the captain and first engineer had reportedly tested positive for cannabis after being rescued.
The captain is a survivor. The first engineer is a survivor. A sailor is a survivor. They're at Anna Regina in the police custody. The mate, which is the second most senior person on the boat, is also a survivor.
The government subsequently suspended the team responsible for loading, dispatching, and managing the MV Barima. Meanwhile, a government tender issued in March estimated the proposed rehabilitation of the MV Barima at $124.5 million Ghana dollars and listed work involving the hull, propulsion, steering, cargo hatch, and seawater valves. Edgel confirmed the authenticity of the document, but maintained that the document reflected routine maintenance and did not mean the vessel had been declared unsafe.
The MV Barima, it's an old vessel. But it's a vessel that has been kept intact. It was last dry docked in 2024, and it's due for dry docking, as you would have seen advertisement in the newspapers, in the latter half of 2026.
The government also announced a multi-agency investigation involving the police, the Ghana Defense Force, MARID, and maritime specialists. It is expected to examine passenger and cargo records, loadings and stability, maintenance, safety compliance, crew conduct, and the emergency response. Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.
Climate is not just an environmental issue. For Belize's children, it can mean flooded classrooms, hotter school days, and communities struggling through longer droughts. Now, with the support from UNICEF, Belize is taking a closer look at how climate change affects its youngest and most vulnerable citizens. The goal is to make sure future climate policies do more than protect the environment. they must also protect the children most at risk. Here's more in this report.
In May, we saw schools across the country coming up with creative ways to beat the heat, as soaring temperatures created significant challenges for students inside the classrooms. Now, Belize is putting children at the center of its climate response. Through a partnership between the Sustainable Development Unit and UNICEF, the country is developing a climate landscape analysis to examine how climate change affects children, persons with disabilities, pregnant and lactating women, and indigenous communities, with the goal of shaping policies that respond to their specific needs.
You find that children in communities that are vulnerable or the poorest communities will have greater impact. So the idea is to kind of work out where are children impacted most and why? And therefore it allows for national policies, and not just climate policies, but policies relating to poverty or social protection, for example, focusing on these groups and trying to understand what their vulnerabilities are and ensuring that in developmental spaces, those groups are addressed first.
UNICEF says understanding those experiences requires listening directly to the children living them.
You actually need to speak to young people and to children. Even school-going children can give you much more information about what are their challenges with climate and how they're facing it. It's very real now. It's in the face of everyone. Not only in Belize, all over the world, you can see the effects. So I think children, when you talk to children, whether it's the heating of schools and how they are in their schools, or when there are hurricanes, floods and droughts, how it disrupts their life. So it's very important to hear from them directly too.
Minister of Climate Change Orlando Habet says the research highlights impacts that often go unnoticed when policies are being developed.
It's addressing climate change, it's addressing how people live in their communities, how children are affected. Children especially, which are the focus of this project, many times we don't see how it affects them directly, but the flooding, the climate, most of our schools probably looking at it from our standpoint now, because the intensity of the heat and everything else possibly affects them more than when we went to school. In the rural communities, it is maybe even worse, because children might even have to get to school walking through mud to get to school, or they get all sweaty, wet, and so it is really affecting them.
The government also expects the study to strengthen Belize's case for international climate financing to implement child-focused adaptation measures. UNICEF representative Sajid Ali says Belize is already demonstrating a strong commitment to preparing for the future.
If you go through it, you'll see that it's not only highlighting issues, but it has very key recommendations in there. And Belize is a bit, I would say, ahead of other countries, because a lot of the policies relating to climate are quite new. And I think the appetite of the government and also of the communities and people to deal with the issues or to mitigate them or to be prepared for it is much higher than most countries.
The climate landscape analysis is expected to provide a roadmap for making climate action more inclusive by ensuring that children and other vulnerable groups are no longer an afterthought, but a priority in Belize's response to a changing climate. Shane Williams reporting for News 5.
Antigua and Barbuda says it remains committed to defending its citizenship by investment program despite increasing pressure from European Union. Cabinet has been reviewing the potential impact of any changes to the country's visa-free access to the Shenyang area, insisting it will continue engaging international partners while protecting a key pillar of the economy. ABS News' Shanakisha Francis reports.
The European Union wants Caribbean countries operating citizenship by investment programs to phase them out within 2 years if they wish to maintain visa-free access to the Shenyang area. Director General of Communication in the Office of the Prime Minister, Maurice Merchant, says such a move could have serious implications for Antigua and Barbuda.
Removing visa-free access from Antiguans and Barbudans or Antiguan and Barbudan passport holders would significantly impact the Citizenship by Investment program. At the same time, in relation to this matter, government believes that it should not be dictated to, and hence is in constant collaboration with the European Union based upon their proposals that Antigua and Barbuda and other Caribbean countries who have Citizenship by Investment programs should phase out those programs.
Merchant also insists Antigua and Barbuda maintains one of the region's strictest vetting systems for those applying to the program.
In Antigua and Barbuda, they complain of 24 months being taken to process some applications, and that's due to the due diligence that Antigua and Barbuda incorporates into its Citizenship by Investment program before granting citizenship to any investor or anyone who wished to become an Antiguan and Barbudan owned this system.
Cabinet says it will continue engaging the European Union while working with regional partners on a coordinated response.
And so recognizing the importance of the Shenzhen visa to the program, and also recognizing that Antigua and Barbuda must be able to chart its own course of development, the Cabinet agreed that continued discussions, continued collaboration with the European Union is the best way forward at this time.
Industry stakeholders also participated in Wednesday's discussions at Cabinet. The Citizenship by Investment program has financed major national development projects for more than a decade and remains a key pillar of Antigua and Barbuda's economic growth strategy. Shanakisha Francis, ABS News.
In sports, we go courtside with netball. Jamaica's Sunshine Girls are set to participate in the Commonwealth Games Championships in Glasgow, Scotland. Experienced Sunshine Girls defender Latanya Wilson says the team is under no pressure to replicate its historic silver medal finish. The championships will run from July 23 to August 2, with Jamaica looking to build on its best ever Commonwealth Games performance. Wilson, who is preparing for her second Commonwealth Games, says the squad is focused on executing its game plan and mastering the fundamentals rather than dwelling on expectations. In football news, Waterhouse FC head coach Donovan Ducky says his goal is to guide the club to its first Jamaica Premier League title in 20 years as he begins his third stint in charge. Ducky, who previously coached Chappleton Maroons, says returning to Waterhouse feels like, quote, unfinished business, end quote, and he believes the club has the quality, staff support, and community backing needed to challenge for the championship. He told the press in a recent interview that the team's biggest obstacle is mentality rather than talent. Ducky says Waterhouse's players are among the best in the league and that a clear structure and winning mindset could propel the team to the title this season. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can watch us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Do remember, we are the People's Station.